I'm Shaun Reynolds.
And I'm Rachel Reynolds.
And welcome to What Was I Made For?
The podcast about doing what you love and prioritising your happiness.
While we aim to inspire, motivate and entertain you, please note that we're not licensed therapists or certified experts.
So if you're considering major life decisions like starting a travelling circus or quitting your job to become a professional beekeeper, maybe get a second opinion.
Enjoy the show.
See, I just do what I want, do what I love. I don't want to stop, don't want to grow up. Just me being me, don't follow the crowd. Don't be a sheep, look at me now. But now it's time to make more, create more. Looking at the points, cause it's time to take score. Feeling like I'm grown now that I can face more. Got one question, what was I made for?
Welcome back, everybody. Happy Wednesday once more. We are back with another episode, and it's another guest episode.
It is. I loved this one.
Yeah, it was good. An old friend.
Yeah, it was catching up basically with an old friend who we worked out we hadn't seen for 13 years, which is crazy.
Yeah, and Rich is, his name is Rich Staplehurst, and he is a pivotal part in mine and Rach's journey, which I'll let you listen to.
I was going to say, yeah, you got to listen to hear why.
Yeah.
Yeah, although it was lovely just basically catching up with an old friend, his journey to how he's got to where he is now was so interesting.
Yep, he's chopped and changed careers. We knew him as an actor. He did performing arts at university, and I think at the time believed that's what he was going to be doing, and then was very open and honest in this episode about why and how he sort of switched careers and is now heavily involved in marketing and has interviewed people like Ed Sheeran and David Beckham.
Yeah.
So it's very exciting.
This is the perfect episode for anyone who feels like they're trying to work out their plan A, B, C, D, or a parent of somebody who thinks that they need to have this grand old plan of what their life is going to look like, because Rich talks about how he has taken so many twists and turns and he is absolutely smashing it in his chosen field now.
Yep, just gobbles up any opportunity as it arises.
So here he is, Rich Staplehurst.
Enjoy.
Clearly you didn't get the blue top, black trouser memo.
No, I wish I'd been told. I wish I'd been told. You need to be on
Just
brand.
realised how matching we are.
Blue was the colour today.
Yeah, just makes our eyes pop.
That is why. Is that why you wear blue?
I was thinking, I've got a blue hoodie, I got this, I got that. Should I wear a hat? No, it's cold, it's raining, I'm just going to wear this.
Yeah. Look fresh.
Go cash.
Absolutely. It is cash. Hence your drink of choice.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, we started.
You told me we were live.
Sorry, we're live. Sorry.
I'm in.
Yeah, which I guess we should talk about it. Your drink of choice today, Rich, was, or is...
Old-fashioned.
An old-fashioned. The first guest that I've genuinely been excited about having the drink, because it's not just a coffee or a tea.
No.
It is 11 in the morning, so I guess we're taking one for the team here.
Well, it's nighttime somewhere. Apparently.
Exactly, yeah. And it's Friday, so...
Can I actually try a little bit?
Sure.
The only reason I'm not I would have joined you, but it's only because I've got to drive.
Yeah.
Safety first.
That is strong, isn't it?
To be honest, I'll be honest
it's warming.
with you. I'm not sure the sugar cube has fully dissolved into the...
No, it's pretty much just alcohol.
It's pretty much
there.
just
It's quite
neat spirit, isn't it?
Christmassy.
Well, there's bitters in it.
It's warm.
It's really warm.
And I think the reason they call it an old-fashioned is because this is like an old-fashioned cocktail in the sense that it's pretty much booze and stuff chucked in it.
Yeah. We need
It's not
trilby
like
hat, cigarette, tie, and like the Mad Men
that kind
theme
of
tune.
vibe.
Yeah,
with the-
exactly. Yeah, and the nice burn
that
of
would
whiskey.
finish me off one of them. That
Well, I'll
one
tell you
sip,
what,
I'm like, woo!
It is nice when you find a good cocktail bar
Yeah.
and you kind of go...
I was going to say, how does that one kind of measure up, Rich, be honest?
I haven't been a barman for about 15 years.
It's great. I know what Shaun wasn't made for.
Brilliant. Love that.
I gave it a little flamey zesty thing as well.
Yeah, that was
Oh,
impressive.
that was good. I
Does
don't
that
think
make,
I've ever made that happen.
make any
For
difference?
entertainment,
Yeah.
it was fantastic.
We'll do a spin-off.
You should have
cocktail.
done that on here. Are you going to make a second one? Is that too much?
Possibly.
Who knows? We'll see where we go.
If you do,
We're
I
going to
think
do
you
a
should
spin-off.
do
It's called What Would You Like Us to Make You?
What would you like now?
that. Okay, I'm getting into the
What was
first
it made
question.
of?
What was it made?
It's a spin-off cocktail show.
Or what was it made for? And you can go into how the cocktail came into
The ingredients,
existence.
yeah.
Right. Rich.
Hi.
Hi.
Rich Staplehurst. For all
Hello.
that don't know, we know Rich very well from the uni days.
The man, the myth, the legend.
Oh, go on, Karen.
Carry on.
No, carry on.
We've got 45 minutes. Keep it going.
Yeah.
Well, Rich, the first question is a nice, easy one. We're going to take you all the way back. What did little Rich Staplehurst want to do when he was young?
Be Superman. I think that was my earliest memory, is kind of having the Superman costume. And I was like, I want to be Superman. And then it turned into, I want to be Elvis. And then as I got older, it was like, I want to be Don Draper from Mad Men. And that's what started my career, I think, outside of acting.
So when you were really, really small, were you into acting then?
I think every kid's like into performing in some way, aren't they? They just want to like make people.
If you think of
laugh
those three people,
Yeah.
Superman, Elvis, Don Draper, all like big characters, like strong.
Yeah, I just wanted to fight for truth, justice, and the American way. Like at 4 years old,
That
like,
is, to be
sign me
fair,
up.
that's a link. Like it's very American.
Yeah.
Did you
it's-
have a fascination with America? Or?
No, I think it's like just comic books. I mean, I've got
yeah.
tattoos here of like, Kryptonian. It's like, so this is like my brother's name. This is my sister's name in Kryptonian. But it's only because it's a bit of a nod to the fact that I was like into comic books and all of that when I was younger.
Do you want to explain to Rachel what Kryptonian
Oh,
is?
you read
It's
my
Superman
mind.
language.
Okay.
So it's, people kind of say, oh, is that from Star Trek? Oh, I'd
Not-
say,
yeah.
no, not
What's that
quite.
language?
I'm not
It's
that
not Klingon.
geeky.
Calm down.
I don't-
yeah, on the geeky scale.
Oh, is
we're-
that called Klingon?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So it's basically
Yeah.
just like Egyptian hieroglyphs, but like made up for Superman comics. And then they go, that's what it means. So I downloaded it, weirdly, at uni. Downloaded it.
I was
as
gonna
a
say,
Word-
you
as,
font.
as Word font. And then I took it to I typed it out on Word, when you could download
Yeah.
stuff and
Yeah.
not go through the whole Apple stuff.
Yeah.
You could just get a font, add it to Word, type out.
Yeah.
And then I just took it down to the tattoo place.
Yeah.
And you made sure someone checked it, right?
Well, I checked it.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I
Good.
checked it. I mean, I don't know. Someone's probably going to go, no, that means like cock.
No, I'm from
Nah.
Krypton, and that means this.
Yeah.
I basically got the Superman equivalent of getting a Japanese. Like,
Do you remember, were you ever put into like acting class or studying it?
no, I think like, I don't know if it was the same for everyone, but like at my junior school, we had like the assembly where each class would do a show or a thing. I don't know where the theme came from, the teachers probably. But we did Jack and the Beanstalk. And at the time I was like obsessed with Elvis. I had like all of the video cassette like films, like listened to the music. And I grew up with my grandparents. So I think that's where it came from. And I ended up being the harp in Jack and the Beanstalk, but I ended up singing Love Me Tender in like an Elvis branded denim jacket
As the harp.
as the harp. Yeah.
Wow.
And I
Did they give that to you because you loved Elvis so much?
I think so. Yeah,
Yeah.
probably.
Or
And,
you
you
just
know-
started singing it on stage like, this
Yeah,
is the one I'm
just-
going to
Oh,
do.
well, I guess he's doing Elvis then.
Yeah. Like, we want you to be the harp. There's no words. You don't do anything. You just sit there. And I just started singing. I don't know.
How
It was
about,
like,
what do you think about me bringing a bit of Elvis to the harp?
like Johnny Bravo. Yeah. And so I think that was kind of, and then I remember, I was still in touch with some of the guys, but we ended up doing E17 in one of the assemblies. We did Gangster's Paradise in another one.
Wait, what school did you go to? This sounds
St.
amazing.
Peter's, Farnborough.
Sounds incredible.
Represent.
Shout out.
No, it was good. It was, yeah.
Gangster's
It-
Paradise. It's insane. for
Like
a
Dangerous
primary
Minds
school.
came out, I'm nearly 40, so, I'm going back a bit. But yeah, they're
wow.
just kind of like the memories of that. And I suppose it kind of like informs stuff. Like Christopher Reeve as well, kind of like grew up with him as an actor, and then Robin Williams, R.I.P.
Yeah, I was thinking about
Both of them,
Robin
actually.
Williams the other day. Just kind of thinking about how a huge part of my childhood he was.
Yeah,
And still just so sad that
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
just not around anymore. I think I
What-
saw something on TikTok.
yeah. Well, I was working in Disney when Christopher Reeve died, and we were in the dressing room, and people were like, "Oh my God, Superman's dead." And I remember being like actually upset.
Is
Sat
he
there, like-
your Superman?
Well, yeah, he's like
Yeah.
the OG.
The
Like, there's a
OG,
new
yeah.
documentary coming out. I saw the trailer and I was like,
Yeah.
you know.
Oh, yeah.
And it's the same with like Robin Williams. He was like my performing idol. And when he passed away, I think I ended up writing an article for like Calm, like the mental health charity and stuff. So yeah, I think I'd kind of just been inspired by these guys, and that's kind of like what I've weirdly, I kind of like got me into the next stage of whatever it was that I was doing.
Yeah.
Which was, so obviously you studied, it was called performing arts, wasn't it, when you did it?
Yeah,
at
yeah.
uni?
So I did theatre at college, went to GSA for a bit, drama school.
I didn't know you did that.
Yeah, did like,
What did you study there? Acting?
yeah. And then the kind of like we did the Saturday school back in the day before it was like the conservatoire. And then went to uni. The only reason I even auditioned for Chichester Uni was because I got cheated on, I think, and I was like, oh, I'm a bit fed up of working in the Yateses in Camberley. I'm going to go to like Phones for You, actually.
Yeah.
Wow.
And one day I was just like, you know what? I think I'm going to go to uni. Told my manager then, Martin, like, oh, I'm going to audition for uni, and if I get in, I'm out. I'm off. I'm not going to be a career phone salesman. And I got in, and so that was kind of like me at uni, because I'd worked at Disney in between, like leaving college and uni.
What
As
were you
in
doing
the
there?
parks?
Yeah, like in the parades and
Oh, nice.
characters and stuff. Yeah,
What was your character?
I know that about you.
did a bunch of them.
Did you?
Yeah,
I didn't
yeah.
know this.
Yeah,
This is mad.
yeah.
I feel
So
like
did that for a while, and then I came out, and that was basically living uni. Like you performed
Yeah.
for 4 hours a
Yeah.
day, half an hour on, half an hour off. You went back to like your essentially halls of residence,
partied.
and then you go back the next day. I came back and was like, oh my God, I missed that. I'm going to go to uni because that's the closest thing I can think of.
Yeah.
Well, if I never went to uni, wouldn't be here.
That's true.
Wouldn't be doing a lot of things, actually, to be fair.
What Was I Made For wouldn't exist.
Yeah.
Wouldn't have met you.
Big story. Big story that
Oh.
everyone is going to be very, very excited about. Rich introduced me and Rach.
You did. Oh my God.
Yes, I did.
You did.
Was it the traffic light party?
It was at Sheik's. I can't remember what the party was.
Okay, yeah.
But
I don't remember the moment, but obviously you guys
So
should.
it was
very true.
you and Charlie, because Charlie was good mates with Rach, and we were good mates.
Yeah.
And I was single, Rach was single, and I think you both were like, "Oh, meet my friend," sort of thing.
Yeah,
so, Rich,
I'll be
we
a
can answer the
matchmaker.
question: what was Rich made for? To bring us together?
Yeah.
Yeah. to
You're
make-
welcome.
Yeah.
I want 10% of future earnings. It was a verbal contract.
Imagine
I can't believe
if we
I've
only
forgotten
knew.
about that. Why?
So ask me
Yeah.
again. What was I made for?
Well,
Matchmaking.
Yeah.
so we're going to have multiple answers to this.
Yes, we're going to do a
question.
few. A few.
I mean, that is basically.
Cheers.
Yeah. How many have you had? Have you been? You picked me up in the car. It was erratic, but I thought it was the weather.
Look, the bottle is still fairly full, so that's proof. Oh, and by the way, Rich asked for specifically a Maker's Mark.
Yeah, well done. I appreciate that.
Where the hell did we get to?
I don't know. That's basically the start of my
Yeah.
general career.
Yeah.
Has been like, I'll just say yes to everything and anything, and I'll just kind of try and work my way through it.
Yeah.
You know, I think like the course that we were doing was very much like devised theatre. So you come up with an idea and you kind of essentially produce it for the theatre. So you do it locally at Chichester or wherever. And because it's solo performance, you kind of just go into it. And some people were just doing it because it was the thing you had to do for your degree. Mm-hmm. Whereas I was like, well, actually, I want to create something that I could potentially take on tour, Delusions of Grandeur maybe. But as part of that, I also started kind of making the poster for it and being like, what would that look like? And I'd made like contacts with theatres up in London, just again, like chancing it. Just being like, I've got this solo performance and I'm just graduated. I'd love to come and do it. So I ended up doing it in like, there was a thing called Theatre in the Pound, and there's a theatre called the People's Theatre in Camden. And I went up and performed it before I'd even finished it and did it for my dissertation. And I was like, oh, actually, maybe I could do this. So my final performance at uni, it got a good grade, like got first for it. People were like, how the fuck do you manage to do that? Because there's no talking in it. And then I went and did that. And then I was like, oh, good, I've done it now. Don't really want to do it anymore. You know, it's kind of
Yeah.
like I'd done the solo performing thing, and I was like, oh, give it a go, did it. And then after uni, I moved up to London, and I was like, oh, I'm going to see if I can get on to do a script writing master's. Just because it was something to do, and I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I got onto it, but I needed to pay half of it. I got half a scholarship.
Right.
So I ended up taking a job in advertising, selling adverts for the Big Issue magazine, all the while doing a master's in script writing. And while I was on that course, I met my friend Emily, who ended up writing a play as part of her master's, but she lived in New York. So she went back to New York, got her play produced, and then invited me to go over and perform in it. So I ended up doing a play in New York.
God.
So I'm kind of now doing the masters, working this full-time job, and then going off to go and do this play. Did the play, and I think that was when I was a bit like, do you know what? I don't know if I enjoy acting, I like performing, but I don't think it's actually like what I didn't have that, I'm going to be an actor.
Yeah.
But then the career started picking up in advertising. So I was kind of like doing this advertising stuff for publishers. Then I went and worked for IGN.com, so games and film. Then I went and worked for the official charts company. So then I'm working, I'm going and presenting Priscilla Presley with the #1 award.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm doing all this stuff. And then I go into creative agencies where I end up, shooting and interviewing crazy famous people, like
Go
Ed
on,
Sheeran.
yeah,
and
name
working,
drop.
yeah. Ed
I want to
Sheeran,
hear about these.
Ed Sheeran,
Ed
and David Beckham. So it's like so bizarre to me that like taking a job to pay for like rent in a little kind of hovel of a house to then doing what I'm doing now.
Sends you
It's
down the
all
path,
just been
yeah.
so connected. But because I've just gone, I really want to do that. Or I've gone to an interview or thought, well, what's the next thing that I need to do? So I kind of picked up these skills, if you like, to kind of apply to the next thing. And it's just bizarre.
It's
weird.
quite...
It's like a wiggly line.
Your like training as an actor in a marketing world has probably made you stand out from the crowd in a way because you can be quite performative. Do you think that has helped you in like pitches and things like that, or no?
I think so. And when I first interviewed to work at Dennis Publishing, selling ads, the task was, from what I remember, is you had to pitch. So I'd have to sit here. You guys would be at something like the train line or, I don't know, like TFL or something.
Yeah.
And I would have to pitch to you why you want to advertise in the Big Issue magazine. And knowing that kind of like the ads are costing like $1,000 or whatever up, I had to sell to you like the audience. I'd never done this before. So I got the brief that they'd emailed over. I look at it and then I go in and do the presentation. And I remember sitting there with Claire and Steve, who would become my managers. I did it, and Claire turned around to me and went, like, you haven't got the experience of doing this, but we want to give you another go. So come back like tomorrow and do it again. Anyway, so I went back and then they gave me the job and I was there for like 4.5 years.
Wow.
So I think, yeah, like the whole performance side of it has helped from a confidence side of things.
This is what we're trying to tell the teens at the school at the moment. We're asking them to sing a verse and a chorus in front of everyone, and they're not all singers. But as Melissa, our other teacher, was saying to them, even if you don't want to go into this industry, to build those skills of having to put yourself out your comfort zone in front of a big audience, like you will take those skills into other careers. Like I do think you have an advantage if you're someone that's
I agree.
performed or trained in that way, because like we said in our last episode, we are essentially all show-offs. Like if you want to be a performer, there is that element of you that likes being in front of an audience and centre of attention. So
And there's always been a constant discussion on this podcast as to a lot of youngsters want to do performance-based vocational activities after school and things like that. But I guess from a parent's perspective, they're like, yeah, but what transferable skills does that give them? And actually, I think the more we hear from people like yourself, I think there's many transferable skills from doing a performance-based, like after-school activity, perhaps even more so in life than doing something more academic.
Yeah, I think that the conversation around transferable skills is something that I would absolutely champion from someone who has gone from not having any experience and not even being really kind of like the fact that I ended up in that interview at the beginning was luck.
Yeah.
And, I think I put my photo on my CV, like headshot on my CV.
Old habits die hard.
Claire was like, why the fuck have you done that? But it got their attention, right?
Yeah, I suppose
and
so.
so then I thought, like, as I went through kind of like the next, when I... Should I put my headshot on with an autograph?
do people
give
do
it to him
that?
as a framed picture? I should have done that today.
That's so Joey Tribbiani.
Yeah, but going back to kind of like transferable skills, like I've been in a very fortunate position where in the last 12 years, I've kind of like gone through various different roles, knowing that I wanted to be a creative director, having seen kind of like the Mad Men going, oh, I'm working for a publisher. Oh yeah, advertising, that's Mad Men. Didn't even know what it was. It's a completely different career. Like I was going in like advertising, sales.
Yeah.
Which is kind of like what he does, but he does it from the creative campaign side of things. And so kind of as I've worked my way through, I'm in a position now where, at Moonbug Entertainment as creative director, we're looking after the brand, content, trailers, marketing for like Cocomelon and Blippi. And like if you've got kids, like they're two of the biggest shows. And so suddenly I'm over there directing, like creatively directing commercials in New York for Reebok and Blippi, but then going back to the office in London and my team are making key art for Disney, or writing trailers, scripts to be voiced by the talent. And the people in the team, I've been able to hire people in, and I've also been able to nurture people. Like there's a designer, motion graphic creative called Mark. And when I joined, I said, oh, can you send me kind of like some of your work and what you like to do so I know how to support you and just get an idea of your style of stuff. And he sent me this presentation, and it was quite clear that he wanted to do more of the script writing and the storyboarding for things. Whereas before he was just doing more traditional key art and maybe some animation stuff. And so I was very lucky that, he had the transferable skills, if you like, of like his own personal projects to what he was actually able to do. And he ended up doing the storyboard and producing the trailer for Morphle and the Magic Pets on Disney+. 12 years ago, me going into that initial interview, I would never have thought that I would be managing a team doing that kind of stuff. And it's because of things that I've learned along how I've done it.
It kind of, the way that you're talking about that with getting the job, which is now kind of helping you build the skills that you need for your own stuff, it kind of makes it sound like it's all been part of this grand plan. But I literally had a conversation with a teenager at the school last week who was like just about to go into GCSEs, and they went, I've chosen the subjects I really love. I was like, great, done.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, but if music like doesn't go to plan, I need a plan B. And then, but if my plan B fell through, he's like 13, 14 years old. I just wondered, you made me think about that conversation, because would you say that you have had this big old grand plan to get to the end, or have you kind of just done what sparks your interest at the time?
I think I've done what's paid my rent at the time.
Okay.
No. Well, yeah, actually, that is the case. But there's definitely not been a grand plan. I think I've always wanted to be in entertainment in some way. That's not necessarily me being in front of the camera and all that kind of stuff. Although I do enjoy doing it. Like I just kind of like want to create something. And I think with things that have happened recently, personal life-wise, I've kind of wanted to find that value. Like, am I doing something that I really and passionate and excited about, that other people, when I talk to them about it, get excited about. That for me kind of adds value in like, I made the right choices and I'm doing something. If it's successful, then it's mine. It's not kind of someone else's that I'm working for.
Yeah. Putting your own stamp out there.
Exactly.
Like,
yeah. And it's kind of, I'm trying to find that voice, like creative voice. And I think I kind of like found it in the things that I'm working on. My niece is like in year 11 now, and she's going to be choosing like what she's doing and where she goes. And I keep saying to her, you know, you might not know right now what it is that makes you happy.
Yeah.
But you have to kind of try things and you have to kind of go, yeah, give it a go.
Yeah.
But there wasn't really a plan A or a B. I think, yeah, maybe everyone wanted to be an actor at some point.
Well, I feel like you've clearly just led with your heart, I guess. I guess it's just going with what you think is right at the time, and also not being scared to try anything. As long as it kind of scratches that creative itch, I think that's an important thing to know, especially for the creative people.
Yeah.
Leading with what you believe will bring you, well, one, pay the bills, but two, bring you some sort of satisfaction in what you want to do, creativity being the main important thing for you. I think just being able to create something. I think that's the most important thing that most people could take from that.
Yeah, and I think it's, you know, it's not without kind of, I mean, there's definitely ups, you know, getting to work with great people and brilliant projects, but there's definitely downs in a sense of like the stability of things is that I've been made redundant and I've lost jobs kind of like out the blue. I've not been able to get, you know, weirdly, the higher I've moved up in my career, the harder it is to then just get a new job.
Yeah.
You know, I think like the lower you are career-wise, there's almost a bit more opportunity.
Yeah.
As I've kind of moved up, it's become harder. So there's been bigger gaps in my career or CV, if you like. And I think what I've done is I've just lent into the creative projects of my own to fill that gap when everything else is fucked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which has kind of helped you create this new thing, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So
and so, yeah.
those lulls have brought you here.
They have, yeah. And weirdly, and I guess it's very universal in a sense of like things do pass and they do get better. And I think that's quite an important way of looking at stuff.
I have to ask, what was Ed Sheeran like in real life?
It's pretty cool. He's pretty chilled. I mean, he literally just, he sat and chatted to us, you know. So this was for a charity event at the London Irish Centre. Dermot O'Leary, obviously, is partner for that with Irish Heritage. Ed Sheeran was taught how to use the loop pedal by a guy called Gary Dunn, who was kind of like the creative director for the London Irish Centre. So he'd kind of pulled this together as an
he
event.
had originally taught Ed how to use. Wow.
Yeah, yeah. So they're
So
like
the
best pals. And
Foundation of Ed's career.
yeah, yeah. And Gary Dunn's a great guy, and the London Irish Centre is a great like charity that does these events, like in Camden. And I was working at a creative agency, and because of my then relationship and kind of relationship to the London Irish Centre, kind of I pitched and we were able to go and film it. And so I ended up interviewing him, you know, shooting the content backstage. He's just a really cool guy, like really down to earth. You know, there's a reason why he is as big, popular as he is.
Let me ask you something. I don't know if you actually know the answer to this, or if it's just it's just the way you are.
Right.
How do you find yourself in all of these different positions, and how can say, like, you ended up interviewing Ed Sheeran because I don't know, you just decided to. What was it? You pitched an idea, or
Yeah. So I was in a relationship with someone, and their family had worked with the London Irish Centre. And I was working with a creative agency. We filmed, shot and produced content for live events and backstage stuff. So naturally the conversation came up. I was like, oh, you're doing a night with Ed Sheeran. We could come and film it.
Oh, I
and then
see.
it was like, oh, we don't normally do that. And I was like, yeah, but you should do it for Ed Sheeran.
Right.
And it was, we kind of like did it like that.
so you basically just throw your hat in the ring for most things. That's
Yeah,
like you hear an opportunity.
There's a reason
and
why
you're like,
a hat is in my logo on my
so true.
portfolio.
I mean, that's a great segue. Rich actually bought us
Get
a couple
the
of hats. What was I made for? Pod branded hats.
I thought if the three of us wore them, it might be a bit much. So I thought I'd just leave it with you.
Yeah.
And I didn't know whether you wanted like, you know, which one looked better. So leave it to you.
I like the white on the blue.
Cool. I like the blue on the blue.
But yeah, this is your logo, right? The technical, well, the
Yeah.
hat is your logo.
Yeah, I went a bit off brand today because of the weather. But yeah, I mean, in terms of like advice, like I did a lecture at Henley Business School, and this is about, oh God, it's probably about 4 or 5 years ago. And I called, am I allowed to swear on this?
Yeah, you
Yeah.
have quite a bit already, so don't worry.
Not quite a bit. It's been like
But,
3
but
or
not
4.
like consciously.
No,
But
no.
I
But
am
yeah,
going
you
to swear.
can.
Yeah, and I did a lecture to some students, and it was called "Fuck It, Why Not?" And I guess it kind of answers your question about kind of like my career has been like, what is it and why? But it also talks to the fact in terms of like advice. I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I just know that I wanted to do stuff that interested me and could pay me money. So often I would come up with an idea and pitch it to someone, knowing that I could charge something for it. And it doesn't happen all the time. You get no's and whatever. But I think the idea of like, fuck it, why not, is you need a job to pay your bills. That is going to alleviate so much of your anxiety and stress. So if you say, fuck it, I'll take that job, bar job, work in a restaurant, you know, doing anything basically, you know that your bills are paid. So your head is a bit more freer to kind of like have ideas and try and do the things that you want to do. It frees you up to, you might do 3 days a week in a bar, you know your bills are paid, you've got a few more days, you can apply and do the horribly long applications for some of these jobs. You can film the content, you can do like a show reel, you can
Write some children's stories.
write some children's stories. But, you know, in terms of that immediate gratification of like getting yourself into the job or the thing that you want to be doing, you know, I've gone from working at Google on these insane jobs in these big campaign products and then had no job for 6 months and then gone and worked for a promotions company where I'm stood dressed as an army soldier talking to people queuing up to play PlayStation games at an expo. Because my normal job would be creating that experience.
Yeah.
But I actually needed to just pay my bills. So
Yep.
fuck it. I'll go and stand in a queue.
Yeah.
Or I'll go and hand out Coca-Cola at like the tube station at 6 a.m. because I just need to make the money. But I know that I've done that for a few hours. And then tomorrow I can actually write a kid's story because I know I've paid my bill or whatever it is.
That is a really good lesson, I think. That's advice in itself is, one, don't be too proud to just get your bills paid so you can focus on what you actually want to do. I think some people might be peddled this idea, especially in arts colleges and performing arts colleges, that if they work hard during the 3 years they're there, they'll come out and they'll have a career. Whereas that is just not the case, as we've all learned as people who have studied the arts at university.
Yeah, I was one of them.
Yeah,
I was like coming straight out and be famous.
But then you've got to be realistic with these things. And I think also just getting your bills paid so you can focus with a free head, like Are
you drunk?
I think I am a little bit, but a head. Do you know what I mean, though?
Well, I think it's, you know, what you're doing with the dance school is you go to, you know, you do musical theatre, you're doing your training every day, you're doing your shows. I guess there's a lot of people doing that course that their aim isn't to run a dance school. Their aim is to perform.
Yeah.
But then you come out and you go through the different things and you whatever. And then here you are like running your dance school. You're producing music and you're making videos and stuff.
Yeah.
It's the same as what you were doing back at uni. But it's very different because now you've got like your own agenda, your own goals.
Yeah.
Like your goal is to help build the agency. You know, like with Lauren, like your goal is probably just to kind of like just create great music and do what like Alto was talking about last week.
Absolutely.
And I think as long as you have those goals, that's it really. My goal for creating Rupert Regis is because I wanted to kind of remember and work with or immortalize or share the things that made my granddad so great, you know.
Is that going to be the first one you try and...
No, the first one is Noah and Fred. So Noah and Fred was actually the story book that I wrote leading up to Christmas. I was like, oh my God, I want to write this book, but I don't know how to do it. Maybe I'll use Instagram to try and like get people involved. So I like created these characters, and I was like, Noah and Fred are going to do this, 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 and this. What happens next? And then I put an Instagram poll up. People voted. The next day, I'd write that bit of the story.
Oh, wow.
The
That's
next day, I
interesting.
put a poll up, wrote the next bit, and it was like the 12 days of Christmas. And then on Christmas Eve, I did a reading of the whole story.
Oh, wow.
And then I did a Kickstarter in the February after that Christmas, hit my target, got those books printed and sent them out to kind of like the local children's hospital. But then thought, actually, I probably don't want to like self-publish it, like put it out on Amazon to buy it and stuff, because then what I know now is suddenly it's in the world, no one wants to buy it, as in, you know, a big company or a production company or streamer or whatever. So then I kind of kept it back. Noah and Fred is now in the process of like character design with like illustrators
Brilliant.
and working on concept art, and the book manuscript's already written. So, you know, there's a bit of a plan of how to do that.
At
So,
what stage can you reach out to the publishers and the big companies?
I mean, you can reach out
at any stage.
at any stage. It's just about, you know,
It's how good your pitch looks, I guess.
yeah,
Without
I
illustration.
think I could explain an idea, but actually if I could show you
Yeah.
what it might look like as a Lego partnership, you know, you know, with AI, you can do a lot of things now that you couldn't before, and I think it's great for like concepting. So the idea of talking about what would it look like in a Roblox game? How would Noah and Fred come to life in a pop-up at a shopping centre? You know,
So
to drive
interesting.
people to watch it or buy the book, or, you know, and I think that is the stuff that I've learned over the years is, you know, yes, you can pitch, but you're almost kind of going a bit too soon. Whereas if you hold it back and build it, you can show someone what it looks like or what it could look like,
Yeah.
and they're more likely to buy into it.
Absolutely.
It's a bit like
Oh, for
pitching
sure.
a commercial idea as an advertising person, saying, we've got this ad space. We want to write an advertorial, which is basically sponsored content. But instead of putting it in the person you're pitching it to, like the company colors or using their logos and all that kind of stuff, you put it in your own. It makes it harder for them to see what it's going to look like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm kind of like, I just want to create the world, allow for development in the future, but actually be like, here's what it could look like. Here's what a plush toy could look like. Here's what the book
Because it
could
then
look
seems
like.
like less work for them too.
Yeah.
Because they'll be like this. They've already fleshed out the whole concept. Makes it easier for them to take on a project that's already been kind of.
Yeah.
it's
And then it
finished, it's ready
becomes
to go.
development. It's just
Yeah.
like, can we make it bigger?
Yeah.
Can we,
Yeah,
can we
absolutely.
add more characters? Can we
Yeah.
develop it into animated? Does
Yeah.
it work in this animated style, or is it better as live action? You know, I don't know, but we'll see.
Are Noah and Fred based on people you know, or are they?
No, so
completely made
Noah
up?
and Fred. So Noah is a disgruntled inventor, and Fred lives in the mountains with his mum in a cabin. And we were talking about it in the kitchen, but the idea is it was always going to be a Christmas story, so I'm not going to give the plot away, because you know there's 400
Spoilers.
dance school kids that might want to buy the book when it goes out. But you know, as that story kind of came around, and as I was kind of going through grief and things like that, you know, I was very conscious of who I was talking to and how I talked to people and relationships that I built, and I was quite aware of people that could relate. You know, grief is a thing that you share and is easier when you do share it. And so I kind of wrote that into, I was kind of like, these two characters have met and they're very different. They're almost like they shouldn't be friends. But to make the story work how I need it
Something has
to,
to link them,
they
yeah.
need to be friends. And it's actually like, it's for kids as well. So it's kind of fairly subtly done. But, you know, Noah realizes that Fred's going through something that he's gone through. And he goes, oh, actually, I'm not too sure about you, and you're a bit weird and you're a bit odd, but, you know, we've got this thing in common. And that's why he decides to help Fred in this thing that he does.
Love it.
And so, yeah, a lot of these stories that I've kind of made up, Chuck Lorre, you know, I train in karate. I'm like fascinated by all the, you know, the mythology and the actual stuff that is behind why karate is what it is. And so I've applied that to this other character called Chuck Lorre, and it's that is about this little character who goes about his adventure by what he's learning through karate, and
And why Chuck Lorre? I enjoyed this earlier.
Yeah, so Chuck Norris.
Yeah, I know the
kind
name.
of like 80s
Chuck Norris
karate martial arts movie.
Yeah.
And Slow Loris. Did you ever see the video of the little animal that raises its
Yeah.
arms? Yeah. So, and Karate Kid, he raises his arm. So Chuck Lorre is basically a karate. He learns karate through watching like 80s B movie films, stuck in his cage, and he escapes.
My favourite one so far. I
Yeah.
love that idea.
I love that.
So this is all kind of like my copyrighted IP if anyone's listening.
Exactly. Yeah.
I was going to say where.
Well, this kind of immortalizes it in time as
Yeah.
well. So this
Yeah,
is
yeah.
proof.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
I'm pissed.
No, you're not. I haven't even finished. I'm just on the sugar
I'm
now.
genuinely trying. Like, yeah, got really something important to say, and all I can think is like, wow.
I mean, I don't really drink anymore, so
I haven't
I'm like
eaten.
nursing
I haven't
this
eaten
quite
anything
slowly.
today.
Oh my God, you
so,
haven't. So to round up, Rich, we're going to ask you the big one. What do you believe you were made for?
Making people smile and telling stories. I think that's it.
And that's, I would guess, what you're about to do with releasing. Well, hopefully soon.
Yeah. January, hopefully, is when it's going to be.
Oh, great.
At least something's going to come out.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Well,
I'm,
if there's any way we can help, yeah.
I'm just excited to read them.
Exactly, but that's what I mean with the kids at the school.
Yeah.
I'm sure they would absolutely love your stories.
Noah and Fred the musical.
Yeah.
The co-production.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you. I mean, this is great.
Yeah, thanks,
This is
Rich.
fun.
Thanks
And
for bringing the whiskey today.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it's great that you guys are doing it as well. I think you kind of found your little niche,
Yeah.
Oh, thank
little
you.
pocket.
'Cause,
Well, fingers crossed
that's
it
good to
gets
hear.
it reaches more people, because I think these are important things for youngsters to hear when they're trying to get into a career in the arts, and just to know that they're not as straightforward, and you can do whatever you want as long as you're keeping yourself happy and you're doing something you love. Then I think that's the most important thing.
And if you're a creative, I just don't think that part of your brain will ever be quiet.
Probably not, no. But I think, like, from the podcast perspective, like the people that you're bringing on, you're saying about getting more people to listen, having certain guests on, not just because they're influence and their reach, but actually what you learn.
Yeah, I think it's nice to have conversations with creative people.
Yeah. Cheers.
Cheers.
Before.
Oh, yeah.
Sean falls off his chair.
Cheers.
Cheers.
So luckily we recorded this outro on a different day.
Are you feeling better now?
I'm feeling a little bit better. Yeah, maybe that is the reason why we don't usually have alcohol on this podcast, because if you do it at 11 in the morning on an empty stomach, it's not usually the best idea.
No. Let's hope that the coffees keep rolling in now for future guests.
I think so, for the early ones anyway.
No, I mean, I think it added an element of relaxation.
Comedy?
Yeah. I absolutely loved that.
Yeah, it was good.
What a great conversation, and how much to look forward to as well. Like,
I know.
cannot wait for those books to come out. We'll be screaming from the rooftops when they do, so everyone can get themselves a copy.
Absolutely.
But yeah, loved it.
So with that being said, thank you very, very much for watching this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Please remember to like, follow, subscribe, all of that good stuff on our social media.
What was I made for?
Also, please, we're getting a bit beggy now. Send us an email to
whatwasimadeforpod@gmail.com.
We will see you again next week as we once again try to answer the question, what was I made for? Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.
Peace and love to your friends. I haven't done that in a while.
No, you haven't. There's a reason.